Past 11, many thanks for tuning in. We're bringing you news from live from our studios at the Platinum Place here in Accra. I am Nadima, Umar, Uthman. Coming up in this bulletin. Health scare looms as FDA confirms lead contamination in some unbranded cereal, turmeric and some cosmetic products, days after reports of toxins in taro leaves known locally as contumely. Also, Ministry of Education firmly denies allegations of bribery related to school placements, announcing the initiation of an immediate investigation to get to the bottom of the matter. Ghanaians raised concerns over return of illegal immigrants who were repatriated by the Ghana Immigration Service earlier this year. And later, courts bar celebration of 2025 Damba Festival over insecurity situation in Boko and its environs. We are live to the area. Many thanks for your company once again. Remember, you can watch this bulletin live on all our social media platforms at GHOne TV. We begin on a rather sad note as a national summary report on heavy metal contamination assessments conducted by the Food and Drugs Authority has revealed high levels of heavy metals in some selected food and cosmetic products on the Ghanaian market. The surveillance carried out across all 16 administrative regions assessed levels of lead, cadmium and mercury in turmeric, cereal mixes, that is Tom Brown, bentonite clay, known locally as ILO, coal, also many call that kaji kaji, and some skin lightening creams and lotions. Turmeric recorded a 42.09% contamination rate for lead, with the Greater Accra and Central regions recording the highest levels of contamination. Cereal mixes, popularly known as Tom Brown, recorded a 29% contamination rate for cadmium, with the Northeast, Western North and Oti regions being the most affected. The report also revealed that bentonite clay recorded a 24.62% contamination rate for lead, notably in the Northeast and Greater Accra regions. The report also highlighted that unbranded products, particularly those from open markets and retail shops, were the main sources of contamination, raising serious public health concerns. More details on this, but if you recall, we brought you a story earlier about the presence of some heavy metals in contumely leaves that were sampled for mining areas in 6 regions across the country. This was revealed in the 2025 mercury and other heavy metals impact assessment report. Let's watch this. Is a loved ingredient in many Ghanaian homes. It is touted as a very healthy, leafy vegetable and is highly recommended by nutritionists. However, that story is changing with the discovery of mercury and other toxic metals in some foodstuff, especially contumely, sampled from 6 regions in Ghana.
We also notice the presence of mercury, lead, arsenic in the food chain. We are talking about pumpkin leaves, we are talking about contumely. All these have heavy concentration of mercury, lead, and arsenic in them. What it means for the ordinary Ghanaian is that he or she is at risk of poisoning from eating, any of this contaminated food that has the presence of these heavy metals, mercury, lead, or arsenic in them.
The research conducted by Pure Earth and other partners in the Eastern, Western, Ashanti and Central regions tested the presence of poisonous metals in the air, soil, water, crops and fish used in illegal mining.
In Savannah region, we're looking at a place called Dakrupe. Dakrupe is a community that is into mining. In fact, the whole of that community is a mining site. It's unfortunate. And this is just an example. And most of the people whom we noticed that were most women do not even take any precautions, and we can just imagine the direct impact on the health of these people. We believe that as a nation, we are at the crossroad, and we can't continue paying lip service anymore. Something drastic needs to be done.
The environmental protection group Pure Earth, working with Ghana's Environmental Protection Agency, says urgent action is needed.
We found some of these heavy metals in our food, especially contumely that we eat. The third aspect is that contumely, after this is the cocoyam leaves. After we have maybe most of the people have finished with the artisanal small scale mining, they leave it for some time, and this cocoyam potentially can come easily. And then we just go there once we find the cocoyam leaves we think is consumable. But this is very dangerous.
Experts warn that without strong interventions, the silent spread of mercury and other poisons into food crops could leave many Guineans with life-threatening conditions, including kidney diseases, cancer, brain damage, and reduced IQ. Let's get more from the FDA with regard to the study it's conducted. Roderick Dade Ajay is the Deputy Chief Executive at the Food Division of the Food and Drugs Authority. Many thanks for joining us, Roderick. In the past few days, there's been a lot of talk about the presence of these heavy metals in our food. And here comes the study by the FDA. Tell us what were your key findings. And before that, clarify for us, was this study done in mining areas?
This study was done countrywide. We picked it from various sources, the market, and environs. So it was to just have a general look at what was happening.
And what were your key findings? You're saying that there's the presence of lead in turmeric, for instance, and also coal. And these are products that are used. Most worrying is the presence of these heavy metals in some unbranded cereal. Tell us about that.
Yes, we picked products that are generally used. So you realize that if you talk about the cereal mix, we were looking at something that is very peculiar to children. And many children take a lot of these cereal legumes. So you may look at Tom Brown, and then you look at Tom Brown legume mixes, as well as also then you look at shri, what we call shri, and or you say ayulo. That of pregnant women, may use. As well as these days that people want to lose weight, they want to fall on fruits, they want to fall on vegetables. So we just took a representation turmeric. That seems to be the new kid on the block that people want to patronize. So we also took that. So it was generally what is around, and then the results reflect the areas where it's coming from. What we have done is just to put the results together for us to see, have a feel at the amount of challenge that we have. So if you have picked, and then you see that there's like 79%, 80% failure. That is very troubling.
But Roderick, what regulatory action is the FDA taking, for instance, to protect the public from this? Because you mentioned that these are all unbranded products. And so if I go on the open market, how am I protected? Because obviously I would not know whether what I'm buying contains lead or not.
Yes, thank you very much. So the regulatory measures being taken, for example, because of what we have seen since 2024, the Drug Authority has raised, the level of, in terms of, for example, water, so sachet water and then bottled water. We have included heavy metal in this range, just to ensure that what people come and register, for public use doesn't contain any of these. So that's one regulatory measure that we have taken, as well as we say cocoa products, because a lot of the cocoa products may be coming from areas that are endemic to some of these problems. So that we also look out for the heavy metals. So you cannot register so that will not allow such products to go on the market. Then, as part of the regulatory measures that we are taking, we think that we need the public to be aware so that they themselves. So, for example, if you come to Shri, what is this Shri or Ayuno? Really, this is not like food, typical food that is taken. But you see a lot of pregnant women crave for it. And so we come out with education, and there are different areas that we are going and raising the awareness. In fact, that is why 2 days ago we met, and as a result, you see that you have heard and you contacted us. So it's supposed to bring about awareness.
But Roderick, if you'd hold on a minute for me, you're saying that you're embarking on some awareness campaign or education to sensitize the public. What would you say to the general public who are of the view that the FDA is not doing enough to protect the consumers, especially when it comes to these products that have not been certified by your organization?
Oh, all right, okay. So in terms of products being certified for the market, we need to understand that traditionally there are some practices that people do, and it has been time immemorial. And that is why we looked at Shri. You don't have some of these products by commercially being sold. It is a cultural thing. It's a socio-cultural thing. So that is something that people by themselves, do. And it's not traditionally food. So it's not even something that you classify as a product that traditionally goes under regulation. It is because of the bad practices that has occurred now and the consequences that it has brought. That is why now it is being brought to the limelight. And
but these are products that we see everywhere, Roderick. You would agree with me that these are products that we see everywhere. And so shouldn't the FDA be stepping up its game in terms of sending officers out there to ensure that the right thing is done? That's my final question, by the way.
Yes, and this is also where we take the media on, because the media, sometimes you look at blame games. It is not a blame game. And I go back to the answer that I've given you, that Shri is not traditionally food. It is a practice that people have been taking. And that is why it is something that has come to the limelight. And FDA is educating the public that don't patronize such products. Women, you don't need to take this particular product. It's a bad practice that you are doing. So if hitherto it's not a product under regulation, then you say it's out there. What FDA can do now, and that's what we are doing. And that's why you have picked on and you are discussing it with us. So to join the education is to tell people that don't patronize straight, don't do it. The ones that are not products that here in Ghana, people themselves are doing this kajikaji, the code. They pick it and then they do it. So we are also educating. So they are all part of the regulatory measures that are being taken. If we want to do a blame game, then it will not take us any far. And we are expecting the media to join, to help, to be able to let people know what the right thing to do.
Grateful for your time this morning. Roderick Dade Ajay is the Deputy Chief Executive at the Food Division of the Food and Drugs Authority, essentially saying that some of the unbranded products that have been found on the market have been taken away, and the FDA is stepping up its sensitization effort to ensure that the right thing is done. So when you go on the open markets, be careful about what you buy. But let's do some education-related story, as the Ministry of Education has launched an investigation into allegations of bribery in the Basic Education Certificate Examination school placement process. This comes after a viral social media post by one Gertrude Ajo Boklo claimed that placement into Ebri Girls Senior High School cost 15,000 cedis. The ministry has dismissed the allegation as false and conspiratorial, saying it is part of a deliberate attempt to discredit the computerized school placement system. In a statement signed by the Deputy Minister, Dr. Clement Abasapak, the ministry said all efforts to contact the individual have failed after her account was deactivated shortly after the post. They also noted that the ghost accounts are circulating similar claims to amplify the narrative. The ministry is now collaborating with the National Security, the Cyber Security Authority, and other agencies to track down the individuals behind the post. But it maintains that the placement process is completely free and warns that any official or third party caught demanding money will face swift and decisive sanctions. The public is being urged to report such cases through the ministry's dedicated hotlines. The ministry says it remains committed to protecting the integrity of the school placement process and ensuring no one exploited for personal gain. While the Ghana Education Service has been reacting to this, it is warning parents and guardians not to pay money for the placement of the awards into any of the senior high schools. According to Daniel Fengi, who is the head of public relations at the Ghana Education Service, the school placement process is completely free, and under no circumstance should anyone pay an individual or group for placement. GES insists that the placement system is strictly merit-based, designed to ensure fairness, transparency, and equal opportunity for all qualified candidates. The service is encouraging parents and guardians to use only official channels, including the computerized school selection and placement system portal, approved resolution centers, and Ghana Education Service communication platforms for all placement-related issues. It is also urging the public to report anyone demanding money for placement to the GES or the nearest police station for immediate action. Let's stay a while longer on this. I've been joined by the Programs Officer for Africa Education Watch, Kwesi Nimo. He's on Zoom. Many thanks for joining us, Kwesi. Every time the school placement system or placement of BEC candidates into the schools comes up, there's issues of bribery. How should the Ghana Education Service and the ministry be handling this?
Right. As you rightly indicated, it's an annual occurrence that whenever the school placement is released, we have the candidates that are auto-placed into the system, and then a substantial quantity of them have to go through self-placement. We believe that the current initiative by the GES to put it out there that anyone who at any point in time is charged a fee should report through the dedicated phone lines and also the security agencies listed is enough currently. But we see that each year there is always an internal review where some of these issues are discussed and the public doesn't get to know what the outcomes of those reviews are. We believe that going forward, especially for what we've seen this year, we believe that it's time that after this phase, after this placement phase, the ministry leads a consultative stakeholder engagement to review the entire process as part of efforts to ensure that we don't repeat these mistakes again. The stories we are hearing, quite frankly, are not new. They are annual occurrences. Some are confident that they make payments to get the placements down for them through self-placement. Some also are able to go through the process seamlessly without making any payments. That is what we know is supposed to be the case. No one is supposed to make any payments through self-placement because self-placement means that you were not able to get auto-placed into your first, second, third, or other choices because of the specificity of your choices, maybe boarding, a certain program, and then something else. But then your grades didn't correspond with that auto-placement algorithm that the CSSPS puts in place. So you're supposed to go through self-placement to get that. Your grades get you into a school maybe nearby or another boarding school that has availability. So that shouldn't come at a cost because we know that it's free of charge. But with these incidences happening every year, we believe that we need to get to the root of the issue, where we hold a broader stakeholder engagement to sincerely and effectively review the process, make the findings and recommendations known and public so that parents are aware, teachers, education stakeholders, and even the agencies. GES itself will benefit from something of this sort.
Kwesi, if you allow me to come, if I may come in here, Kwesi. If I may come in here, I'm asking that you mentioned what the ideal situation should be. Why would a parent willingly pay money to somebody to get a placement? Could it be a systematic issue with the whole process? Because earlier, our reporters went out there to one of the resolution centers where they mentioned that some of the parents really do not trust the system.
Sensitization has been a bit low. Whenever school placements are released, as part of our advocacy efforts and public education, we also take to our social media and through some of these media engagements, sensitize the parents on what they must do, because we have understood through our monitors and engagements with other parents that some parents still don't know how the system works. Whenever the placements are out, you see comparisons. My ward had this, another person had this, and the person had the placement, but my ward had better and couldn't get the placement. There needs to be extensive sensitization down to the parents, because they are the ones who mostly go through this process and have to pay because they've been asked to. But as you said, the ideal situation is free of charge. But the other situation comes with some form of desperation, where parents by hook or crook want to get their wards into certain schools, sometimes even when there is no availability. So we believe that as part of the review of the entire process, it is very important that we have this extensive stakeholder and broad engagement to ensure that everyone understands how the process works, everyone understands how the process is not supposed to work, and parents are extensively sensitized to understand the nitty-gritties of the algorithms that the placement system uses to operate.
All right. Grateful for your time. Kwesi Nimo is the program officer for the Africa Education Watch. Away from education, the Upper East Regional Security Council has announced the cancellation of this year's Damba Festival celebration. This follows a court order from the Bolgatanga District Court prohibiting the planning, organization and celebration of the 2025 Damba Festival in Boko. The court order, I beg your pardon, which was issued on Thursday, September 25, 2025, restrains the president and the members of the 2025 Damba Planning Committee from going ahead with activities related to the festival. According to the Upper East Regional Security Council, the directive is intended to ensure peace and security in Boko and its surrounding communities where tensions have persisted in recent times. The order will remain in force until further notice. The Boko conflict, rooted in historical, ethnic and chieftaincy disputes between the Kusasi and Mamprusi communities, has long posed challenges for peace and national cohesion. Kasim Idrisu is our man in the area and joins us for some more updates. Kasim, what has been the reaction of residents in Boko with regard to the cancellation of the Damba Festival?
All right, so as we speak now, here in Boko, there's a calm in the area. We haven't heard anything bad. But normally, when it has happened this way, tensions will rise up. So we will, for now, we wait to see what will happen. But as we speak now, we haven't heard anything bad from the area.
But I'm sure that plans were underway to have this event. Have you spoken to stakeholders? What have been their reaction to this?
All right. So this morning we tried to reach out to them, but they were unable to reach out to them. But certainly, you know, when it's happening this way, at least they won't be happy with it. But we'll try our possible best to get in touch with them for our subsequent news so that we'll get their thoughts.
All right. Thank you. Kasim Idrisu is our man in the area, bringing us some reactions. He said essentially the residents are indifferent when it comes to the cancellation of the Damba Festival by the by RECSEC. But you're still watching Newsroom live on GH1 TV with me, Nadima, Umar, Uthman. Now, the Binduri District Security Council has announced new restrictions aimed at curbing the violence and restoring peace. The new restrictions began on Thursday, September 25, after an emergency meeting in response to the recent killing of 4 people in the area. The restrictions include a total ban on wearing smocks in the area. Motorcycle riding is only now permitted between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Riders are also prohibited from picking up anyone except school-going children. The District Security Council has been tasked with enforcing these directives to ensure compliance and maintain peace in the area. This development comes amid ongoing violence and insecurity in the Binduri district, which has been plagued by targeted attacks and killings. The Council's decision aims to address the security concerns and prevent further incidents. Let's bring you some politics now, as NPP's flag bearer hopeful, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has accused President John Dramani Mahama of double standards on Ghana's post-COVID-19 economic crisis. During his Eastern Regional campaign tour, Dr. Bawumia recalled that the NPP government blamed the 2022 economic downturn on COVID-19 and the Russian-Ukraine war, a position Mahama rejected during the 2024 campaign period, insisting that mismanagement was to blame. But at the 80th UN General Assembly in New York, President John Dramani Mahama admitted that the pandemic had severely hurt Ghana's economy. Dr. Bawumia said this proved that the president knew the truth all along.
From 2022, COVID impacts, Ukraine war and COVID. Emma Nadima bo ekosoro 2024 election. Monyina mo kai se na ye ka se abdia esi no na niema bo ekosoro Ghana hanyina eye COVID na ebaye ema nipa niema bo ekosoro any Russia Ukraine war ye ka saade no omampanyi Mahama ne NDC omoka say ye twantro omo say COVID insan nimu at all enya sa no mukai omo say economic mismanagement enya sa no mukai say COVID enye a factor me say me kan say I think nra ena omampanyi echo New York ena omo okoka say Africa nyina niema bo eko soro because of COVID. Semot mwati. O say COVID ninti ena niema bo eko soro. O say a lot of your effort had reduce poverty over 10 years or 20 years. COVID no edi sa effort ni nyina aba form in just 2 years. Sa no kind. Enti asa unimsa but wanka election no enyesa onim ne kore no ba wanka yen yehu problem no omo ehu problem no enti nyame adom obi abehu bebi an kore ne da enti 2028 yen sesan ya adwen yen fa emma Dr. Baumia ene MPP na yen fa economic management no enkoso because we got it right.
Meanwhile, the World Bank has rejected the Akufo-Addo's government's claim that global shocks caused Ghana's 2022 economic collapse, concluding that the crisis was primarily the result of domestic policy failures. In its 2025 policy notes on Ghana, the bank said the pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war only exposed deep structural weaknesses and fragile macroeconomic conditions already present in the economy. It highlighted weak governance, fiscal indiscipline, and delayed reforms as the main drivers, noting that the over-reliance on external borrowing and expectations of natural resource windfalls encouraged short-term political decisions that eroded accountability and undermine the social contract. The report traced a long-standing pattern of fiscal expansion, a cycle that has pushed Ghana into 17 IMF programs over 68 years, with the country under fund support for 40 of those years. International relations expert Dr. Vladimir Ntridanso has commended President John Dramani Mahama for his firm call to end the fight in Gaza. According to Dr. Ntridanso, the president's statement was a bold one and deserving of applause. He further noted that the current structure of the United Nations is ineffective, stressing that the 21st century requires a completely new charter. Dr. Ntridanso was speaking earlier on News Tonight.
Well, that was a bold declaration, which is good, in the sense that, yes, what it is, must name it as it is. Such offensive diplomacy is very much needed at such fora, and nailed it right there. What is happening in Gaza must stop, and everybody knows it must stop. Everybody knows it must stop. So those who think you reward Hamas for recognizing Palestine are wrong. And I'm very happy that this is a huge contradiction to what President Trump said. And that boldness must be applauded on the side of President Mahama. Unfortunately, most of the things he's saying over there about reparation, about the restructuring of the UN and whatnot, are not new. We have lamented these for 30 years. Kofi Annan tried very hard to reconstruct the framework for security so that we will all be under multilateralism. But it's not working because of the structure which in place in 1945, which is, he rightly says, is outdated. So what we need is a bold attempt at asking the UN to not just reform itself, because that reform will have a catch-22. It will go back to the P5 for the P5 to pay, and they will veto it. So what we need is a completely new charter. Can we have a new charter for the 21st century? You know, in 1648, we had a new charter for a new world, a Westphalian system. In 1918, we ended the First World War with the League of Nations. In 1945, we ended the Second World War with this new charter. After the Cold War, people thought it was not a war, but it was the defining metaphor for conducting international behavior. That is dead, and yet we are clinging on to it. So the need for a completely new charter to spell out what we need for the world in the 21st century. That is when we can spell out most of the things that the president is any problem. If Israel is annoyed with us, so be it. So what is wrong? What South Africa did? Has South Africa died? No. This is a bold attempt, and we shouldn't believe that Israel is going to be annoyed with us, America is going to be annoyed, and therefore Ghana will die. They are not going to invade us. He has said it as it should be said. Well, that was a bold declaration, which is good, in the sense that, yes, what it is, must name it as it is. Such offensive diplomacy is very much.
Well, the Israeli ambassador to Ghana has been reacting to President John Dramani Mahama's address at the United Nations General Assembly yesterday. Let's take a listen to what he said.
We listened very carefully to the speech. To all the speech, I think the president had some very strong points.
Voicing their frustrations as illegal immigrants who were repatriated by the Ghana Immigration Service in May this year have reappeared on the streets of Accra. Their return has reignited public outcry and renewed calls for a decisive long-term action from the authorities. Many residents say, the public says that the issue is no longer just an inconvenience, it's a matter of safety, order and dignity in the capital city. Khadija Edi reports.
May 20th this year, the Ghana Immigration Service undertook a major repatriation exercise targeting illegal immigrants, many of whom were seen begging on the streets of Accra. Over 2,000 individuals were arrested and more than 900 were eventually repatriated. But just 3 months later, the story has taken a different turn. They are back once again, occupying street corners, approaching motorists, vendors, and pedestrians with their accompanying chaos. Their return has sparked renewed frustration among residents and reignited calls for a more sustainable solution. From harassment to safety concerns, many Ghanaians say the issue has gone beyond mere inconvenience. It's now a matter of public order, security, and dignity.
About 3 months ago, the Ghana Immigration Service repatriated over 900 illegal immigrants, with many of them begging on the streets of Accra. Well, we are back here on the same streets to cross-check as to whether the exercise left a lasting impact.
It's a scene that's becoming all too familiar for residents and commuters in Accra. Beggars weaving through traffic, approaching pedestrians and disrupting business activities. And for many, it's not just about the nuisance, but the broader question: how did they return so soon after being repatriated?
Mama back in the day, that's a no Sunday about sister. Sa hadwen ka kwan mu no kra risky kra de ma wo mo kwan no mo twemu ni ade ade takataka nkrofo bi won mo kra obetimi apia no kra ma na tolo kwan mu
amanfo beto de kra wo mo ne na mo kwan no chese ahumeti
will be causing accidents, and maybe you will not want to knock them down, but since they are always on the road begging, mistakenly something bad can happen to them.
Ko so mata obi kwa gen eto adokra no ma sa be gen person mo srade esa yeso ha
dem ti say do mo kwadi aba menyi ni say omodu kuro mu no so because the say omo okuro kuro no so omo no so no say be omo ihye da nye yare for sa ene me hu sada me carry because ufa over here dey say omo ko toilet go omo ju so go omo ankasa be bi omo da poti kuro mu ni bi nti say abadi say ampara what bi do omo akodu omo kuro mu dent na omo tibi ba.
The Railway Workers Union of Ghana have suspended its planned nationwide strike and peaceful picketing, which was originally scheduled for September 30, 2025. The suspension comes after a directive from the National Labour Commission asking the union to stand down and instead appear for a negotiation on the same date. In a letter to the Greater Accra Regional Police Commander, the union confirmed its decision to comply, but issued a firm warning. It says that if their concerns remain unresolved after talks, they will not hesitate to resume strike and also picket at a later date. That new date, according to the union, will be communicated to both the Commission and the general public. You're still watching Newsroom live on GHOne TV with me, Nadima, Umar, Uthman. Let's bring you some business updates now.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Ghana has witnessed a remarkable resurgence in foreign investor confidence, with foreign direct investments skyrocketing by 381.9% in the first half of 2025 compared to the same period in 2024. That is according to the recent data from the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. The nation has secured 76 new projects valued at over $800 million between January and June 2025, a substantial leap from $179 million in the first half of 2024. This upsurge underscores renewed faith in Ghana's economic prospects amid ongoing reforms designed to stabilize the macroeconomic environment and enhance the investment climate. The manufacturing sector led in terms of project numbers, according to 32 new investments, while general trading tapped in terms of value with over $600 million in capital commitments. Upon full operational capacity, the new projects are anticipated to generate over 4,700 jobs across diverse sectors of the economy. China has emerged as Ghana's foremost investor, driving inflows with 22 projects during the period. It was trailed by India with 14 projects, Nigeria 8, and the United Arab Emirates and United Kingdom with 4 each. The United States ranked 6th with 3 projects, while Liberia, Mauritius, Singapore, and Turkey each recorded 2 projects. The Chief Executive Officer of the Railway Development Authority, Dr. Frederick Apo, has lamented the distraction of the railway lines in the western region due to activities of illegal miners, popularly known as Galamsey. At a press conference to announce the operationalization of the Tema to Adomit sector of the Tema Mpakadan Railway, Dr. Frederick called on the illegal miners to cease the activities close to the railway lines, as he hints of an inter-ministerial task force to protect the infrastructure, as the distraction is causing a heavy financial loss to the state.
That we have spent close to over a huge amount of money, millions of dollars, to do the railway formations in the western region. Now, when you go to Kodokrom, all the way to Esueso, the formation that were, completed almost last year have been devastated by illegal mining. They are mining underneath the formation for gold. They are mining underneath of the formation. And the formation, and I will tell you something here, in Ghana here, it costs us $6.2 million on average per kilometer to construct a railway line. $6.2 million per kilometer. I am crying for action. I think my minister is working, Honorable Bukari is working this at the highest level with Honorable Amaboa, as well as the Interior Minister, to help us to form the interministerial task force. There are so many task forces going around, so I don't want to go around forming railway task force. That's why I'm very cautious, say interministerial task force. But we will need a specific task force to protect the national asset. Otherwise, the drainage are all gone. These drainage were done last year. They are damming the drainage and the culvert to wash the goat. So if we don't protect the national asset, we are not going to have any railway.
The Business Brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Let's now bring you some sports updates with Benjamin Yamwa. Hello, Benjamin.
Yes, good afternoon to you and, of course, to viewers. I've got some updates from boxing in Ghana. The NSA are placing a suspension on boxing activities in Ghana. That and some more stories coming up in sports after this. Interview where he said he raised concerns about the number of fights Bahubali may have taken on in recent years, adding that 36 boxer Akushi is said to have fought in multiple bouts over the past 12 to 24 months, which shouldn't have been the case. To football news now, House of Folks head coach Didi Ramani has said that although 11 Wonders are disciplined and tactical side, his boys House of Folk will impose authority on them in a Ghana Premier League game tonight at the Accra Sports Stadium.
That at the end of the day, you are able to build your capacity in terms of the resetting of your mentality that you have spoken about, so that you can gain something from the game. And so results is so important when it comes to these effects. Being more clinical in front of goal, means a lot, because we need to intensify our setting of the mental approach, where we can stay very consistent, where we can stay very relevant, and where we can continue to express our direction and also keep our identity prevailing. But we need that confidence of creating 3 chances and making all, creating 4 and making 3, creating 5 and making 4, and you need games, you need wins to be able to intensify these aspects.
The Ghanaian weightlifter Mary Agba Hughes has opened up about some challenges she says she has faced with the Ghana Weightlifting Federation. An interview to be aired this Friday at 9:30 p.m. Agba Hughes revealed her frustrations after she was not registered for the upcoming World Championship, despite submitting her request well ahead of the deadline date. Now, the Ghanaian has therefore appealed to the Federation to put personal differences aside and focus on their mandate of supporting and developing weightlifters in the country.
Other issues in Ghana Weightlifting Federation? Other issues?
I don't know about current issues, but I know about past issues.
Like?
I feel like, for example, like me not being registered. Why? There's supposed to be protocol. Whether the person doing the registration has a personal agenda with the athlete or not, it shouldn't make them not register somebody. Whether you like somebody or not, it's your job. You should be able to. It shouldn't affect the athlete's career. Things like that. Those are little issues. Organization, funding, not allowing sponsors to sponsor individual athletes, because at the end of the day, we all have individual strengths, and individual companies seek different types of athletes. So if an athlete has a potential sponsor, and the federation is saying, you know what, we're not allowing you to go to a competition, it doesn't do any good for the athlete or the nation as a whole, because then you see a decline in companies that want to sponsor Ghanaian athletes. Yeah. They don't want to touch it because they're like, okay, this stuff goes on way too much in Ghana. You can't do that. So these little things are stuff that like we should really come together and just sit down and realize that while these little drama is happening in Ghana, other countries are being better, rising. Other African countries, Nigeria is doing it. We can't sit there and let Nigeria keep taking the cake.
That should be it for us in sports. My name is Benjamin Yamoa.
Let's now bring you some entertainment on GHOne. Filmmaker and actor Kobe Rana marked 15 years of filmmaking. The event, which brought together celebrity actors, filmmakers, media personalities and movie lovers, was graced by Ghana's Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture, who attended as a special guest of honor. The highlight of the night was a premiere of a one-cast film written and produced by Kobe Rana himself as a bold artistic statement to mark his journey.
Curious but thrilled audience lit up the Silverbird Cinema, all in honor of celebrated Ghanaian actor and director Kobe Rana as he marked 15 years of entertainment and storytelling in Ghana's film industry. marked this milestone, the versatile entertainer did something truly out of the moment himself had the answer.
Everybody knows I just like to do different stuff. I just like to do concepts that are not common, no matter how difficult they are. I don't want the regular. Once it's different, once it's unique, once it makes the people think a bit. Yeah, I'm down with it. So it was one of the options I had in a long time, and I decided to do it. And I'm glad it worked.
Meanwhile, veteran broadcaster and actress Akuma Mama Zimbi, who Kobe says was part of the inspiration for the storyline, shared how the film brought back powerful memories of her decades-long work in sexual education for married couples.
What we just watched was perfect. In fact, a late night show, the way he did it, actually I saw myself and his actions and the demeanor and how he felt, it was actually real. So this is what we go through.
Collaboration is the way. Ghanaians are figuring it out. People are like the whole of Africa have seen what collaboration can do, and Ghanaians people have started working together. And Kobe and I, I'm sure there's something in the pipeline. I can't say what exactly, but I know there's something in the pipeline.
15 years of filmmaking, one man, one cast, one unforgettable night. Kobe Rana has proven he isn't just marking a milestone, he is making a bold statement.
Hey, the way you ride and driving me insane. I feel it in my spirit and my face. But I'm shut up like I feel it in my spirit and my face. But I'm shut up like I'm gonna make it rain. I got shit to say.
That's it for entertainment, but in some more news, the Ningo Pram legislator, Sam George, is calling for a collective regulatory push to restore sanity and safeguard Ghana's media space and national values. He insists that schemes disguised as prophecy, fetish rituals, and sexually explicit relationship shows have no place in broadcasting.
While the ministry is supportive of the use of new media to augment traditional media in the dissemination of information and the provision of educational and entertainment content, new media must subject itself to the same rigors of conventional media. It is wholly unacceptable and indeed undemocratic for us to have different standards for new media broadcast and traditional media broadcast. Once you broadcast, the ethics and standards of the craft must govern your operations. I'm not here to speak of censorship. I speak of regulation. The media, be it traditional or new, cannot be said to be above regulation. It cannot be the Wild West, where incredulous allegations are made, reputations are damaged, and images are soiled irreparably, simply for clickbait. I cannot and will not, as the Minister for the sector, seek to regulate what media outlets publish. Absolutely not. I will never do that. That is your democratically protected editorial discretion. However, in the same vein, my democratically elected mandate is to regulate through my regulators how your editorial discretion is broadcast. So what you say is yours, but how you say it is regulated by us. And so we must draw that fine distinction, especially with new media.
Let's now bring you international news. Kamil Idris reaffirmed his government's commitment to a roadmap for peace in the country's ongoing civil war. The forces and civil groups calls for a ceasefire the withdrawal of the rapid support forces from occupied areas, and the immediate lifting of the siege on the city of Al-Fashir. Idris also pressed the international community to enforce Security Council resolution adopted more than a year ago, warning of catastrophic consequences if the inaction continues. The conflict, which erupted in April 2023, has killed at least 40,000 people and displaced some 12 million people. That is according to a UN report. And that's how we wrap up this edition of Newsroom Live on GH1 TV. But log on to starfm.com.gh for more news. I am Nadima Umar Uthman. Good afternoon.